It
Okay.
hurt me.
Okay.
Did you? I scared it, didn't I?
He did. Ray fixed it with his mind.
My mojo.
He did.
My mojo
Okay,
mind.
so I'm going to keep going here. People are always asking, how are you? And the standard response is, I'm fine. It doesn't sound like people are fine. You can feel it. You never hear it in their voice. You can hear it in their voice. In fact, they are anything but fine. By asking them the question, how are you? You have caused them to lie. You caused them to do something that was possibly uncomfortable for them, lying about how they really are. Putting them on the spot by asking them how they are, making them lie, is bad for their energy and yours. By the way, I'm just reading a few excerpts out of the insight. You want to get these insights. You just go to my website and it's at the very top or on the side at the bottom. You can find it everywhere. And just sign up. It's free. And here's the last point I'm going to talk about here. And then Ray's going to interject. Did you ever think that asking someone how they are doing was such a bad idea? You know how you're going to know that? Just really getting to the point, to the heart of the matter. You're going to know that by the way it makes you feel when somebody asks you that. Okay. And I want to bring this up. Comments. The spirit guides and I love your comments. Here's how to leave one, and here's what you will get. The spirit guides and I reply to the comment or question that you submitted, located at the bottom of the insight where it says comment. If you need to remain anonymous, just email me, Linda at lindadeer.com. Linda at lindadeer.com, okay? And I will post your comment or question in the comment area using the name Anonymous Comment. Either way you do it. Soon after you submit your comment, when you return to the insight, you will see our reply to your comment. That means me and the spirit guides. They comment on it too. This is a great way to get a deeper understanding of how this insight relates to your life circumstances. And you can go there for all of you that get my insights. Or you can just type this insight into the search term, stop asking me how I'm doing. It'll take you right to the insight. And you can leave a comment there, and the spirit guides will answer you, and so will I. Okay? You guys, we've got your back. We never leave you hanging. We care about how you are. We really care. All right? Okay, Ray, so what do we have? What kind of... Ray does research. Here's what we do each week on these insights. What are you looking for, Ray?
There's a little shadow.
Okay.
It's okay.
Each week on these insights, Ray does research around these insights just from a left brain perspective, from a this world perspective. So you're looking for something. You keep looking for it.
Just keep going.
Okay. Are you looking at this right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't even know what that is.
It's something that magically appeared.
I don't know.
Can you lean on it? Let me see what it does.
Yeah. Okay. So
it looks like it's right there.
I know, but it's not.
But there's nothing there. Ooh.
We have a mystery on the set today.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to keep my train of thought, and it's throwing me off. Really throwing me off. Okay. I was talking to you. Okay. I was talking to you about the research, and Ray does it. When he does his research, he's coming from a this world perspective, a left brain perspective, a reasoning, logical perspective. I come from the spirit guide's perspective, from a higher awareness perspective, an intuitive perspective, from the world you came from. So together, Ray addresses it from this world perspective. I address it from the world you came from perspective. And together, you bring these together. And that's how you find your true north. That's how you learn to do this and master this for yourself, to figure things out. Okay. Because you guys, you are never alone and always being guided. All right. So, Ray, what do you have?
Well, I've always been in the business where you meet customers or clients, and what's the first thing they ask you? How you doing? How are you? Well,
It's a customary thing.
it's small talk that keeps the person safe.
It's a social norm.
Right.
That's so messed up if you really think about it. The way the guides talked about it in this insight, that is a ridiculous thing to ask anybody. It's asking for it, you know.
Not only do you hear, well, I'm fine, but the other thing you
That's
hear is,
like blowing you off. Oh, I'm fine.
well, the other thing you hear is everything's fine. So they want you to know everything in their life is fine, or I'm fine.
That's another way of saying, leave me alone.
Right.
I don't want to talk to you because I don't like your question. Don't put me in a corner like that. Go ahead, Ray.
Well, most people, I think, say those things. I'm fine or everything's fine, because they don't. They want to deny their true feelings or their experiences of what's going on in their life at that time.
Or they feel intrusive. It
Right,
feels
right.
intrusive to them. Why ask me how I'm doing? I didn't ask you to ask me that. Go ahead, Ray.
Most people, not most people, but some people, a good majority of people, just like to pretend they don't have any problems because they can't face their problems,
That's true, Ray.
or challenges that they have going on. They could be having a problem with their family or their kids or their job or
If you ask a little kid how they're doing, if you say, "How are you? How are you today?" They'll tell you, "I got a boo-boo today. I got hurt today." Or, "I'm really happy because I got to go to the park." They'll tell you the truth, okay? They don't think about covering it up, or when you were a little kid, you didn't do any of that. You learned to do that, okay?
who never lies to you like that when you ask them how they are? Your dog.
Well, your dog doesn't talk to you,
Well,
Ray.
your cat would lie to you though.
Yeah,
Right?
okay. So, anyway,
Anyway, they want to project some kind of different image than what they really have, than what they really are, who they really are.
right. That's right.
So I asked myself, why would they want to do that? They're afraid of the shame or maybe the embarrassment or the judgment of how somebody would judge them if they really did tell somebody how they were. I mean,
It's a
it's
bad
weird that you
question.
get punished for telling the truth.
That started when you were a little kid.
That's right.
As soon as you blurted out the truth, yeah, I mean, I don't know what happened to you guys, but I mean, I I learned to shut up. And that's where I learned to use my journal. And I learned at 7 years old I started writing in my journal, my diary, my secret safe place where I could have this conversation with myself to see how I was doing. The truth came out on those pages. But when somebody asks you, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing great," it's usually a bunch of malarkey.
Malarkey, that's a good word too. People really don't want other people to know. They want to have the appearance of they're not struggling. Okay?
Everyone wants to keep their pride.
They're successful. They can manage everything that's going on in their life. They can be having family problems and drag those into work, and they don't want to use up work time to tell you about their family problems. They just don't want you to know that their life is not as perfect as you put it out there to be.
It's none of your business. If you ask me, "How are you?" it's none of your business, right? Isn't that how you really feel when you hear someone say that? It's none of your business. Why would you ask me how I'm doing? I don't even know who you are. And you ask me how I'm doing? Or in a case where if you're a doctor and you walk into the patient's room and the doctor says, "Well, how are you doing?" Okay, we actually had a comment on that one, and you'll see it later, probably by tomorrow. But yeah, it's
That's kind of your job to ask people how they are.
yeah, and that's a real tough place. So you're going to see a comment that's going to show up by tomorrow where the spirit guides talked to the person who left the comment about how to deal with that.
Right.
So don't forget to look for it tomorrow on the insight. You'll have to go to the insight, go down to the bottom, and read the comments. Okay.
These people who project, they dress well, they have the perfect family, they drive the perfect car, they have an unreasonable picture of the world being perfect. The world's not perfect. So why
Yeah.
should they be perfect in the world?
It was projected on you. You were programmed to act like this. It doesn't feel right. It never makes you feel good. You're really uncomfortable around the whole thing. You know that you're fudging, lying, not telling the truth. You can feel it. And, you just blow it off by going, I'm fine. Just go away. Ugh. You'd like that person to just disappear.
Yeah, the world's not perfect, like we said. But if they admit that they have problems, they could be afraid to face them.
Well, yeah, of course. If you let yourself actually consider answering that question honestly, that could come up.
Yeah,
But not that would not happen very often. The only time I could think about somebody actually falling into that would be a child. A child might say, "Well, I don't know, how am I? I'm not really doing so well," you know, and you start thinking about it honestly, because you haven't built all those defenses up yet. You haven't become fully socialized. Where "How are you? I'm fine" is the common, you know, introduction and the common response to that lame introduction. All right. You haven't figured that out yet. So you're still falling into actually thinking about if you are fine, if you are okay, how are you? A little kid will answer. They'll actually stop and pause,
and
which
think
is
about
what
it.
which is what you should be doing. You should actually first you should just, walk away from that. I'm fine. You could do that. But what you should be doing, if they ask you that and it offends you so much, get your journal out and start writing down. That was an unusual, but not so much an out of the ordinary occurrence. But it is unusual. I mean, not everybody always asks you, how are you? But it seems so normal that you kind of don't think about it, but you should. If in that moment you felt whatever you felt, write that in your journal. That is where you're hung up. That's what you need to look at. You don't need to share it with that person, the world, or admit anything or confess or, I don't know what you'd call it. I mean, I wouldn't. I just, I'm all right. And I just move on. But if it bothered me, I'd go, what the heck was that? What was going on with me in that? It has nothing to do with their inappropriate uh, uh, introduction, thinking that was the right thing to say. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with how I reacted to that. Okay. Inside me. And where I'm going to get the answer is when I have that conversation, not with that other person, but with myself. And it happens when you open the journal and you start. These journals are different than any other journals. Okay. These journals walk you through a 4 qualifying question process that get you to the core of why that bothered you in this particular case or whatever it happens to be. And it's easy, you guys. It becomes an automatic response within you where you fire through these 4 questions. Write it down, how it felt, what you realized, and the action you're going to be able to take. Okay?
Yeah, you don't have to worry about admitting your problems to somebody else.
No,
You need to admit that you have problems to yourself.
that's
And that's where you write them down.
that's the
I'm having a
key.
problem doing this or that.
That's how you handle it when somebody imposes on you and says, "How are you?" Okay, that's how you handle it. You take that value and you see how you are, and then you start writing in there and have this conversation about yourself with yourself about what this is. The other aspect, the other opposite polarity here is um, is when you ask somebody else, "How are you?"
I've
Catch yourself. Here's my point. Let me finish this. You don't have to ask anyone how they are.
you can see it.
You can feel it.
All right.
before you even walk into the room, you can size up the situation. If you stop and calm yourself down and yet let yourself feel the energy that you're about to move into, you're going to know how they're doing. You're going to know why they're there, and you're going to know what they're there for, and you're going to feel the vibe. Feel the vibe, okay? You're going to know. So, before you even talk to anyone, let them do the talking. Let them do the. How are you? I'll tell you what. How are you? I mean, you could just push it back on them and see how they respond. It'll be funny. I mean, don't be laughing in their face, but you can see how it plays out and put it in perspective while you're in it instead of panicking and going, I'm fine. Don't do that anymore. Handle the situation, change the way you drive home. Okay? Change your habit, change your automatic response, your knee jerk response. And when you do that, the only thing you have to do to change it, take that breath, be calm, give it back to them, let them do the talking while you feel what that is in you, because that's what you really need to pay attention to. They really won't probably remember your name. They won't remember you. They're so focused on what they're saying and what's important to them. You don't matter. So you may as well get something out of it. Okay. Walk away with something that then you can go back and have this conversation with you and find out what's going on. Why did that bug you? Why did that offend you? Why did that feel so wrong? Somebody else asked you that and it didn't bother you as much, but why did it bother you when they asked you that? Ask yourself those questions and find out where you're hung up. Okay? Because until we heal it in ourselves, you guys, we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep saying, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? You're going to just blow it off and just keep doing the same thing. And it's hurting them. Like the guide said, it's hurting them and it's hurting you. Putting them on the spot by asking them how they are, or someone asking you how you are, makes them lie, is a making them lie is bad energy for you and for them. You set up bad energy right from the start. You don't need that.
Do you think a lot of it has to do with when you were growing up, as a small child, where uh, you were taught to, or they try to teach you to ignore your feelings? Stuff like silly stuff like big boys don't cry.
Sure.
Okay, that's
Deny your feelings.
deny your feelings.
Deny how you really feel, how you are.
Yeah, grow up.
Or
Grow
shut up.
Yeah. Oh, children should be seen and not heard. Don't express yourself.
Right.
Um,
All of it. I mean, it's endless. Okay. The point Ray's making here and where he's taken us is this started when you first got here from the other world. It started then. And how do you? The whole point to this journaling, you write in these journals in part 3. There's part 2 and part 3 of the journal writing, but in part 2, my guided journey, at the end there's 20 pages, 20 journal entries for part 3 before you have to get the book that's just all journal entries, which is my journal writing. Okay, so you start with my guided journey. So when you do start writing in part 3, which is near the end of the book, the journal, when you start to see these patterns, what bugs you, what's bothering you, where you keep feeling inadequate, you feel uncomfortable, something still isn't in alignment with your true self, you start to see the patterns, then you go back to part 2. And there's 18 chapters in part 2 that talk about when you first got here until pretty much until you hit your early 20s, and what knocked you off your path, what prevented you from being you, all of you, not hiding, not learning how to, cover up and how are you? Oh, I'm fine. And cover all yourself up and not really being real with anybody. That's what's happened in our world. And that's why it's not working.
yeah, looking back at the little kid, other than having their feelings suppressed by the comments that adults make.
Learned behavior.
Right. A lot of them were taught not to ask for help.
Oh, absolutely. That meant you were weak.
Yep. You were weak.
Okay, so this is all you guys came in perfect. And then the people here who were here before you, who were taught by their parents and their parents taught them, and on, these same bad habits. We just have to cut them out, you guys, because we can't move into the fourth density reality, which is what we're moving into now out of the third. If you're weighed down with worried about what other people are going to think, if you say this, if you do that, that's what this is. How are you? You know, I've had people, I really do tell people, I don't know if I don't feel comfortable telling you how I am. Yeah, I just don't. I don't know who you are. I'm not telling you how I am. I how am I? Yeah, what I was good, 5 minutes ago.
Question.
Yeah, I mean, until you put me in a corner and you, it's like a confession. How are you? Put the light on you. How are you? And you feel like you should answer the question. Well, and then if you do answer the question, if you tell the truth, the person who asked that question, are they really wanting the truth? So think about it before you say it. If you have the urge to repeat that again and do that again, how are you? Or are you really wanting that truth? If they tell you the truth, are you willing to sit there for an hour and find out how they are as they explain it to you? Think about it. The question is ridiculous.
It is. It's like you said at the beginning. It's a conditioned social response.
Both the question
and the answer. Right.
Right. That's right, Ray.
I mean, when you have a habit like that goes on, a perpetual habit.
That's what these journals do. They break you from the habits that you've had that have been reducing your life down to just a mediocre type of existence. You guys, you're not mediocre. None of you are mediocre. So quit abiding by a world that makes you mediocre. Don't let them do that. If you do that, come back and tell yourself you did that, what you did and why you did that, and how it made you feel. Okay? I can help you with this, by the way. Okay? I've got training on my website, walks you through it, keeps you from going down that path. It helps you break these patterns. All right?
But you do have to write it down and look at it out here.
You can't, yeah.
Well, you go to a therapist and they're writing it down, but you have to write it down so you can finally look at it, because a lot of times you don't know what you're doing while you're doing it. You can't see it when you're in it.
You can't. I can't see it when I'm in it.
Right. But you can see what they're in.
I can see it when you're in it.
Yep.
I can see what you can't see when you're in it. I can see it just like this. All right. And I break you out of it. You break yourself out of it. You have a breakthrough and an epiphany. Okay. You have a realization and you're free. You're finally free from that. Only then can you take an action that will make sense. Okay. Let me get into, Ray, are we done with that, babe?
We're done.
Okay. I'm going to move into what we're doing next week. And don't forget to leave comments on this, you guys. We love your comments. And me and my spirit guides answer your comments. So it's thorough. When you see the answers to the other comments on there, you're going to know what I'm talking about. All right. Okay, so at the end of this session today, which we're just about there, we're going to have the spirit guides close it with their closing message. And so I'm going to just got one I'm going to talk about next week, next Thursday. Join us next Tuesday. Join us next Tuesday, May 11th, for episode number 282 of Linda's Weekly Guided Insights with me, Ray, and my spirit guides at 6 p.m. Pacific time on my Facebook page, my Facebook timeline, and my YouTube channel, use the search term Linda Deer. In Linda's weekly guided insights, my spirit guides will be talking about telepathy, the silent communicator. This is what I was talking about a little earlier. Before you even walk into a room, listen to what you're feeling, because you don't need to ask people how they are or how a situation is. You're going to know. Just check in, calm down, and have that moment, that breath, and check in with yourself. And you're going to feel the vibe when you walk in. By the way, they're going to feel your vibe too. So you want to walk in with a really clean, high energy vibe, all right? The takeaway from next week's episode is you will remember how natural telepathy is. Telepathy is the preferred method of all intelligent life to communicate with each other. When you think about it, the communication complications between people only started once language was created, because now interpretation entered the picture. Telepathy is the preferred means of communication that transcends all languages, in all dimensions, and between all sentient beings. You don't want to miss that one. All right, and we're going to go ahead and close this session. And if my work has helped you guys in any way, my books and everything that we do, tell your like-minded friends about what we do here, okay? Share this video. Drive them to our website. Just tell them to go to the homepage. On the homepage, it covers everything. It really does summarize it all, okay? And it's fun. It's a great page. All right. So we're going to close the session tonight on stop asking me how I'm doing. And here they go. The guides are awesome. And this would be just like we do when you leave a comment. This is how we answer you. The guides come through and answer you just like this.
You really do have to stop hiding your feelings. But you also cannot thrust them out at someone just because they ask you that often repeated question. How are you? How are you doing? It's more important to know how you feel about how you're doing. Ask yourself, why do you feel certain ways? Next, once you write down how you feel, ask yourself, what makes you feel that way? Now you've realized the problem. Certain people, certain situations, certain experiences make you feel different. Now, all you need to do is have a plan to address it. What will you do to change your feelings? Do not judge them
Your feelings. Do not judge your feelings.
because they are not good or bad. They just are feelings.
They're the truth. Your feelings are telling you the truth. It's your emotions you have to question.
Right. Discover also what those feelings are trying to tell you. Don't be afraid of anybody judging you or shaming you because you were honest, but you're only safe to be honest once you have examined your feelings and also realized how to address address them.
Okay. And that happens between you and yourself when you spend that 15 minutes a day to write in your journal about how you are really doing. Every time you write in your journal, that's the pursuit. How are you today? How are you really doing? It's a question you ask to yourself. It's not something that you ask somebody else intruding on them or somebody else ask you that intruding on you. That's sloppy language. That's sloppy communication. Okay. Next week, once again, next week it gets into this communication. So vital. Telepathy is the silent communicator. You guys, you already know how that person feels. Listen to yourself. You're going to feel their vibe. You're going to feel their energy. Calm down so you can feel it. Okay? Okay. We'll see you next week. And remember, you are never alone and always being guided.